Hello, my dear friends. Welcome back to another interesting story from the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav story series by Mommy Show Musings. Today, let us go to another group of islands that belong to India. So, obviously, most of you would be thinking, yes, I'm going to talk about Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and I'm going to talk about the Kaalapani or the famous Andaman and Nicobar Cellular Jail. Isn't it, my dear friends? Yes, you are true to certain extent that I'm going to talk about Andaman and Nicobar Islands. But, my dear friends, since this stories is mainly bringing in the positivity from the Indian history and trying to bring to you the most important valuable lessons that we can learn from Indian history. I'm not going to talk about the black pages or the black era of the Indian freedom struggle, which contains more torture and sufferings in the Kalapani jail, though that is more important and for us, and that makes us realize the importance of the freedom which we are enjoying today. I'm going to talk about it only in the very end. For today, I'm going to tell you about the real important history of Andaman and Nicobar Islands, how they got into, how they were found originally, and what are the important lessons that we can learn from these group of islands. So, as you all know, Andaman and Nicobar Islands are situated in the Bay of Bengal area towards our right side, isn't it? And they're the most beautiful islands which are known worldwide for their rich flora and fauna and biodiversity, that it's there on the tourist map for more or all the foreigners as well. Now, let us first understand when was the first time that these islands were discovered and by whom. The first recorded evidence of Andaman and Nicobar Islands could be found in the Tanjore inscriptions of Rajarajendra Cholan. And we all know that during the Great Chola Empire, India had business ties with Singapore, Malaysia, Hong Kong, and other Southeast Asian countries, isn't it? So that is the reason why during that time when Rajendra Cholan was traveling from the main subcontinent of India towards Southeast Asia, his team had found these group of islands as a good resting place because they already traveled quite a distance from India. And that is how they found these islands, and they named these islands as Manakavaram, which means the naked people, is the place for the naked people. That means the aboriginals who are living there were in the purest form of the humanity, that is in the naked form. And the famous travel logger or the travel chronicler Marco Polo also found these islands and documented it around the same time, and he called them as Nekavaran, which is nothing but again a distorted version of the Tamil name Manakavaram, isn't it? And but these aboriginals from the Andaman and Nicobar Islands refer themselves or talk about themselves as they are the descendants from the Ramayana period. They are existing right from the Ramayana period, and they call that place Andaman as the Handuman. Saying that this is the place where Hanuman had took the giant leap to Sri Lanka to find out the goddess Sita Devi. We don't know what is true because this is again once again the oral folklore which gets passed on from generations after generations, and there are no archaeological evidences saying Rama or Hanuma went to Andaman and Nicobar Islands, or maybe during the Ramayana period these part of islands were joined with Indian subcontinent. We don't know all those things. So let us leave it at that point of time and move on to see when next was the evidences about the Andaman Nicobar Islands in the history books. But before we go there, let us see who, as I told you, who are all the aboriginals who are residing in Andaman and Nicobar Islands. The records of Rajarajendra Cholan and Marco Polo state that there are four tribes who were living in that at that point of time itself in Andaman. And the reason our Indian government statistics also state that when India got independence, they could find only four major tribes in Andaman, and they are Greater Andamanese, Om, Zowar, and Sentinelese. Sentinelese are the most dangerous people whom don't like any interaction with the modern society. In fact, Indian government totally prohibits entry into the Sentinelese Islands, and they don't allow anybody to talk to them, or I mean even see them for that matter. Though the islands are very beautiful, pristine, untouched by any modernity, And Zowar is also equally protected tribe who actually, don't like any outward interactions or interactions with the modern society, but can agree to some amount of contact from the social welfare department by the Indian government. But they only talk to those people who go with a particular uniform and all that stuff. But not talking, it's just an exchange of goods. That's all. And home tribe actually interact with the social workers or the people from the social welfare teams of Indian government, uh, and they come to them during in the need of dire medical emergency and stuff like that. Greater Andamanese tribes have already come into the mainstay of the modern society, and Indian government is taking all the precautions and necessary steps to keep these Om, Zowar and Sentinelese tribes in their purest form without any pollution from the modern society or any interactions from the modern society, because that is how we can preserve their originality. And one more thing why Indian government is taking such stringent measures is that these people have not developed any immunity or skills to live in the modern society. And if we take them out and put them into the modern society today, they will be dying pretty soon because they don't have their body doesn't have any of the immunity system with them. The first known European settlement happened in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands during 1756, and that too by the Danish people. Danish people entered these Nicobar Islands, only the uninhabited parts of the Nicobar Islands, which are not being inhabited by the aboriginals of the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, because the old tribal people was very ferocious and they were fighting all the foreigners who were trying to come near to their group of islands with bow and arrows. So that is the reason why they went to those places where they couldn't see any tribals attacking them, and landed their ships, took some rest. And once they felt healthy and fit again to undertake the long sea voyages, they were going towards the Southeast Asia countries. But they were also not living there permanently because of the fear of the malaria fever. Remember, Andaman and Nicobar Islands get good monsoon every year from both the southwest and northeast monsoon. And that is the time when malaria fever spreads because of the mosquitoes. We all know that, right? So the Danish people were very much scared about the malaria fever, and whenever the monsoon comes, they should leave these islands and run away to their homeland. So on and off, they were coming and staying on the Andaman and Nicobar Islands and leaving the aborting these islands for the fear of malaria fever. And finally, after almost a year, that is during 1868, they got really fed up of these islands and the precautions they need to take for themselves while staying there and taking rest. And they sold all the rights about on these Nicobar Islands to Britishers. Britishers also tried settling in the Nicobar, not in the Nicobar group of islands, but in the Andaman group of islands, as they were traveling from the main Indian subcontinent towards the Southeast Asian countries. They settled first in the Chatham Island in 1789, and they were taking rest, they were repairing their naval ships, and they're going with their onward journey. And after 1857 first war of independence, the the prisons in the Indian subcontinent were full of nationalist people, and they couldn't keep all these nationalist leaders in those prisons itself, because they were kind of influencing all the other people who are there in the prisoners or in the same city and towns with their nationalist views. So they felt that anyway we found one space which is far away from the Indian main subcontinent, and if we go and dump these people there, then they will not have any ties with their friends, family members, or the Indian main subcontinent. So they will lose their own character, they'll lose their language, they'll lose their courage, and this is the only way to defeat this brave nationalist leaders. So that is the reason why they used to get people on board the people their ships and get them back to Chatham Island and dump them there. Literally dump. How they should get these people to Chatham Island? They should land the ship in the midway in the high seas and ask these leaders or the prisoners to jump from the sea and swim to the Chatham Island and get settled there. At that time, there was no cellular jail. So all these people were left to the vagaries of the nature. They never had anybody who can cook food and give it to them. They had to find their own food. They had to live on their own without no proper shelter or roofing on top of their heads. And this is one of the oldest photographs which was published in some newspapers, which I could get source it from Google, to show it to you how the bad state of the prisoners at that point of time during the 1857, 1858, at that time. As the numbers of these prisoners on the Chatham Island grew, they Britishers felt that they can use these folks to repair their ships. And to repair their ships, they need wood. And that is the reason why they first established this first sawmill on the Chatham Island, which is still in existence and in working condition. So you can whenever you get to go to Andaman and Nicobar Islands, you can go visit this Chatham mill, and then you can understand and the emotional turmoil which these prisoners were going through at that point of time. Remember, all these nationalist leaders are highly educated, in a very good professional level, teachers, leaders, gurus, or whatever it may be, right? Lawyers, medical doctors, and they belong to, some of them belong to royal families as well, but all of them were in a very good state of stay on the economical side. But these people were, I mean, treated like more like slaves, brought in a ship, in a overcrowded ship, dump them on an island, and then made to work on the sawmill as a menial labor. Imagine the emotional turmoil which each and every person of these from that group must be going through. But still, they all braved it for the motherland, isn't it, my dear friends? And these are the people, same people who are made to build the cellular jail. And the at that point of time, the original plan of the cellular jail, which is still seen as the prototype in the museum located in the cellular jail itself, as is the octopus form with 8 different wings spreading all in 8 different directions, with the center tower being there. And this huge 3-story building was built by our own Indian freedom fighters. And they know the fact that after the jail gets constructed, they'll be, stationed there, and they have to, obviously, already they're suffering so much that their sufferings will increase in number once when the construction gets completed. But they don't have any other choice there. They are the ones who had built this jail for us. And then they also built huge buildings and mansions for the Britishers to stay on the Island. And Ross Island at that point of time was called as the Paris of East. And it was very prestigious for the Europeans to come and spend a night on Ross Island at that point of time, because it was full. I mean, that entire island used to vibrate with music, songs, dance, and parties. But all these things were given to them with the blood and sweat of our own Indian freedom fighters, isn't it, my dear friends? Not only Britishers, not only Danish people, all the European countries were also actually trying their level best to occupy certain or set their foot on the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Austria has done that in 1778. Italy has done in the 18th century, and all of them were trying to establish their presence, but none of them could succeed or get a complete hold on the Andaman and Nicobar Islands because of once again, the malaria endemic. Everybody was scared of the malaria endemic that was that keeps coming once in every year on that islands. And maybe that is the reason why most of the Europeans used to run away from these islands. Not only Europeans, my dear friends, even Japanese tried attacking Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and they occupied Andaman and Nicobar Islands in March 1942, at the very beginning of the Second World War II, and they could actually take full control of this entire group of islands in a span of 3 to 4 hours. And they released all the prisoners from the cellular jail, said that, and asked them to join the Azad Hind Force, which was being led by our great Subhash Chandra Bose ji, isn't it? And most of the prisoners have willingly joined them, and then they used all these freedom fighters to wage the freedom to fight to participate in the World War II along with us, with them rather. And you can still see the Japanese bunkers on the Andaman and Nicobar Islands even today. And Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose visited Andaman and Nicobar Islands in 1943, and he had actually hoisted the flag in the Gymkhana grounds, currently located in the Port Blair, near the marine, near the beach. The first striker flag, uh, stating that these islands are free from the British Empire, and these are the first group of islands who had come out of the British Empire from the Mother India side. And he renamed the Andaman and Nicobar Islands as Shahid and Swaraj Islands. Shahid for the Andaman and Swaraj for the Nicobar Islands, saying like these are the people matter freedom fighters, and Swaraj is for the new generations which are going to enjoy the freedom of the country. In fact, um, our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji has gone there and inaugurated the monument, and that in the place where Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose ji has first unfurled the Indian national flag on December 30th, 1943. So that's all is the story, my dear friends, for today. I just want to give you the positivity today that this is the first place, the Andaman and Nicobar Islands are the first group of islands which got freedom from Indian British Empire during 1942, 1943, during the Indian Second World War period. And of course, after Japan lost Second World War, Japanese had to give away the entire control of these islands once again back to Britishers, and they went back into British Empire. And only after 1947, they really fully became liberated from the British Empire along with the rest of the India. So that's all for today. And before leaving, I just want to ask one fun question. Do you know which is the southernmost point of India? Southernmost tip for that belongs to India? Just think about it and let me know in the comments. It has something to do with today's topic as well. So that's all for today, friends. Meet you tomorrow with another interesting story. Till then, bye bye. Take care.